As reported by Joe Blow, the original Jason Voorhees questions con prices. Ari Lehman, who played Jason Voorhees in the original Friday the 13th, is actively against charging fans for autographs or photo ops, although the shift in the industry has forced him into complying. Poor guy. He's being forced to big money. Boo-hoo. I say that, and I only mean half joking. But the other points he makes, I have mixed.
But he is speaking out against making all that money, so he's got a little bit of credibility.
So speaking with iHorror, Lehman said that the overall cost of attending a con is already steep. And when you add the price of collecting autographs from celebrity guests, conventions may be beyond the budgets of many fans. And I do agree with that.
And for those just listening passively, can we point out he played Jason Voorhees in the first film? Do you understand that role was just him jumping out of the lake with a mask? Yeah. That was that was it. A blurry flash forward. That was his entire part.
That was it?
Yeah.
He doesn't appear anywhere else?
No. That's at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. He comes leaping out of the lake, and he's all...
exactly. That's what I was going to
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't even hear it, but it sounds like that in my head.
Right. Yep. So
it was my mother did it.
Lehman went on to say, quote, if someone pays to get there, you're paying for gas. You're paying to park, paying to get in. And now you walk up to the first table and somebody's asking for, I don't know, maybe $50 for an autograph and a selfie. Then you go to the next table and it's the same thing. I often wondered, especially for a family that walks in there with a bunch of kids, how can that be fun, end quote. And I do agree in that regard. But I struggle to understand or fantasize about what another business model could be.
Yeah. I don't know.
What he says is, God, you say something, John?
Who in their right mind would travel to a show like that and pay money just to get their picture taken with a couple of B-list celebrities? What kind of person would spend that sort of cash? I can't imagine.
I know, right? I feel like I should be turning the camera around on my wall of autographs.
Yes.
Lunatics.
Right. From just weeks ago when I watched Will looking like the cat that ate the bird standing between a couple of his last Starfighter heroes.
Right, yes. Right.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no,
I missed that.
So Lehman goes on to explain that conventions were originally fan-supported events. But then, according to him, vendors did, quote, backroom deals with celebs, guaranteeing the entertainers for a minimum fee for their attendance. According to Lehman, quote, it changes the scope of how the event is drawing. In other words, they don't need to create an entertainment-based event, and it becomes more of a sales-based event, end quote. Yeah, I mean, it's been like that for a long time now. I guess, and
it has.
Good.
Now, I could speak to, so I used to go to a lot of science fiction and Star Trek conventions when I was in college in the very early 90s, like 90 through 95 era, which was the heyday of, Star Trek The Next Generation. And anyway, back then those conventions were quite different. They were held in some hotel. They kind of took over the whole hotel. And your ticket price included the autograph. Now, they would sell you a photo if you didn't bring one, or, if you whatever they had at their table you could buy. But it was all inclusive, right? So you got there, and you're like, when you come, you're entitled to an autograph from John Delancey. You're entitled from an autograph from George Takei. Now, photo ops and things like that, those are stretches, and those are extra. But you got something. Yeah. And now everything is nickel and dime, and it's what's the word? Not al dente.
A la carte.
A la carte. Yes, I knew it was some food thing. Everything's a la carte.
It's just
Alouette,
Weird Al.
Yeah. But everything is little nickel and dime stuff. Anything you want is extra, and that's I'm sure what he's talking about, and he's right. But how do you compensate those artists for being there? As the article says, over the weekend, they have to get there. They have to. Yeah. What's the incentive for them to be there for you when they could be out maybe making money, acting, or doing something else? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess they get a piece of the door, and then John Delancey's arguing with Patrick Stewart about who gets a bigger cut. This just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, Lehman, look, here's the good news. If you're a fan of the guy who jumped out of the end of Friday the 13th, that's Jason. He points out, and I think this is great. If someone comes to his table and is unable to afford an autograph, he said, quote, "I'll be giving out lots of freebies. That's just who I am," end quote. And I think that's fantastic.
That is good.
Yeah, and I've told you guys before, when I've worked at conventions, for fun, and I followed my buddy Yuri around last year, a few different conventions that he did. That's how a lot of these guys are. That's how certainly Yuri is. It's just like, you can't pay for it. People come up with a story. I'm in college. I only got $20. It's 60. That's fine. $20 is
like,
fine.
I'll take 20.
Deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just
give me whatever you got in your pocket.
Or whatever.
I
Here,
want to see your inside out pockets. Show me the revenue.
Don't stop till I see lint. I want to know you're not eating later. If you're eating, you owe me money. All right. No. These guys are good like that. If you do want to see Lehman, he's appearing at Scarefest 16 in Lexington, Kentucky in October. So just looking into this, because I originally, honestly, again, having worked at a lot of these conventions, I was struggling to think of the different prices, and I wanted to give you guys so-and-so charges this and so, because it's quite a range. Most folks charge between $50 and $80, most folks. And again, it depends on how popular you are. How long ago you made a movie. If you're a more retro type person, it's going to be a lower end. If you're a contemporary, a very popular person right now, it's going to be a whole lot more. And in doing that research, I found this in 2016, which is pre-pandemic, by the way, because conventions bounced back after the pandemic. I thought they were dead. I did a lot of work with Wizard World, and the rumor was they're shutting down. They actually got bought out, or it's confusing what happened to business arrangement, but Fan Expo has Wizard World now, I think, or part of it. I don't know. But a couple of years after the pandemic, there's more conventions now than there were back then.
So many.
So this article from the Hollywood Reporter from a few years ago, take it with a grain of salt, but they explained, quite frankly, what we've been touching on. Here's how it works. And I guess this one thing wasn't covered in what we talked about. Actors ask for a guarantee, often paid up front. So if you want me to go to your convention, you have to give me X thousands of dollars. Maybe you got to pay it up front. If they're smart to ask for it up front, because I've been in some situations where they don't make enough at the door and then they're not paying people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was at a convention that the celebrities started leaving.
Oops.
When the word was out that the door wasn't as much as they thought, they were like, fuck this then. I know I'm not sitting around signing autographs. I'm not going to hit my minimum. And he just left back to the hotel.
Yeah.
But
that's somebody that has enough money to do that.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
these guys,
you're like, I just want to sit here and earn what I can earn, because otherwise at the hotel I ain't making nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Although I'll tell you,
Yeah.
this was a retro convention that I was at, not RetroCon. It was a much smaller one. These guys, I can't imagine they have FU money, John, but they.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, they offered me autographs because I, was hanging out with these guys and I did their panels and interviews and stuff. I paid for them. I was like, please take my money.
I thought you were going to say I declined.
No. I have their autographs on my wall.
No need.
But I made sure they took the money because I was worried, is this guy going to eat later? Yeah, seriously. I won't name names. But anyway, but part of their getting this guarantee is that they're going to show up, they're going to sign autographs, do some photo ops, and sometimes they'll have to do a panel discussion. Usually they have to do at least one, maybe two panel discussions, maybe one per day. Most conventions charge an entry fee and also collect. So most conventions charge an entry fee, but they also collect $5 off of every autograph. Some of them do. The ones I've worked at, there is no mechanism for that. So if you buy someone's ticket at the table, the conventions literally don't know how much money you're making. It's a what do they call it? Like trust kind of situation, self-reporting.
Okay. Yeah. Honesty policy.
Yeah. So you tell them, all right, I hit my minimum. So we're done. We're good. You know? And they can tell because they walk around, they see this guy's got hundreds of people lined up. We don't know this guy anything. But they said, but according to this article, they also get, the convention gets $10 off of every photograph as well. Now that might be true because those are often through a separate company with a photographer that takes the pictures. You have to buy the ticket separately. Of course, the stars are flown out. They get luxury accommodations. This is 2016 luxury. The hotel we stayed at RetroCon was very nice. Maybe the nicest in the area. We stayed with this. We were there with the celebrities. We stayed.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
I've been to conventions where I was staying at a hotel that was nicer and closer to the convention center than the actors. So I don't know if this is always true.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so they get the minimum. Anything they could pocket over the minimum, it's found money. It's icing on the cake. Now, according to multiple sources familiar with the convention deals, the basic guarantee rate for genre stars is in the $5,000 to $10,000 range per appearance. All right, so we're talking about your basic stars, maybe lower end folks. They're not so hot right. They're not doing anything right now necessarily. If they've been out of the business for years, it might even be lower than that. But according to this 2016 Hollywood Reporter article, the most popular stars may command anywhere from $35,000 to $250,000 and up.
Really? Oh my goodness.
And it's not uncommon for stars to earn anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 on top of their guarantee.
Wow.
So $1,000 every day.
Man.
Yeah. They give us a couple of examples. Think $500,000 for Captain America's Chris Evans. Or the Walking Dead's favorite Norman Reedus. These guys walk away with hundreds of $1,000s. Matt Smith, they reported, I think it was, made $250,000 in a day, according to their sources. Apparently, anybody Doctor Who anything makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
The demand has become so overwhelming for folks to appear at conventions that the larger Hollywood agencies now have personal appearance agents that book the talent and, of course, take their 10%.
Down to flesh.
Yeah. So there's also a number of independent personal appearance agencies that do that type of work as well. I'm friendly with a couple of those because some of them also function as quasi publicists for some of the folks who we interview or used to interview on the show.
So access, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, look, I can't think of another way to do it. Like John explained, the way it used to be done. I think it's just easy to poke holes, but I wish there were a way that allowed more folks access to these people because, it's this relationship, right? Look, you are the fan that put me in this position that I have these people lined up.
Yes, yes, yeah.
But I'm going to charge you money to be in my presence. But
to just walk in the door. And
walk in the door and then stand within 6 feet of me or 2 feet or 3 feet. Get my autograph, get a photo, maybe a little bit more.
Yep.
But you wouldn't, it's this weird circular thing. I wouldn't be here for you, but now you're going to pay me. But I have my house because of you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's this Ouroboros, isn't it? It's like eating its own tail. Like, what is the actual, where does the buck stop? Like who?
Yeah.
It's.
In that sense, the one you were talking about the old way, John, is fairer to the fans, of course.
Of course.
But,
right.
Yeah.
And what happened is, even if you didn't want autographs from those people, the autograph for them was baked into your ticket. So there was their guarantee, right? If we sold X number of tickets, then we can afford your guarantee because it's baked into the ticket. Yeah. And the tickets weren't ridiculous. I mean, this was the 90s, so things were half the price minimum, right? But there's not a perfect solution. It stopped me from getting autographs. I just don't seek them out because I don't want to spend a couple $100 on something that I used to spend $20 or $30 on. It just, I don't treasure it that much. I'm just happy to see the human being and go, I have breathed the same air as Lee Majors. I sat in the chair where he sat and I've been in his aura. I don't need an autograph to prove that I was there,
Yeah.
So
I feel
it's driving away people like me who would pay a reasonable fee.
Yeah. I feel similarly. I've barely been to any cons, RetroCon, was kind of my first big one, and it's not even that big, right? But I was thinking okay, people are paying to come in so they can buy things, toys, games, whatever. And then I thought about, well, the panels, okay, that's something that you can just go to and you don't have to pay extra for. So earlier, Will, when you said about there being an entertainment,
right?
It's like, well, where's the entertainment? Okay, well, the panels. We went to one. I found it entertaining. It's tricky. This is tricky.
Yeah, and for folks who don't know, if you just want to. Seriously, if you want to just go and meet these folks, most of them will just shake your hand. You don't have any money. You just want to say, hi, can I shake your hand, or say how much you've meant to me. They are grateful for that too. They'd rather have your money, but most folks I've ever known or worked with, super nice, down to earth folks who get it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Or if you're in the hotel with them, you can almost crash into them coming out of the elevator.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Can confirm.
Right. There you go. Or you could accost them while they're eating breakfast.
Yep.
Nate
Or
says,
in the line to the bathroom.
right.
Ooh, Kat, what are you doing? What are you doing in RetroCon? I missed that part.
Yeah.
Me.
Oh,
I heard a story.
Hey, he didn't wash his hands. Guys. Don't take autographs from this guy.
Well,
Nate
that one
says,
hand is bionic and it can sanitize itself. So don't worry.
Nate says that Lehman's got his own band called First Jason. That's clever.
Yes.
Brandon says he had just a tiny part in the first film. If I were going for autographs of Jason, it would be for Steve Daskowitz, who played Jason in part 2, or CJ Graham, who played Jason in part 6. And Karen points out, obviously, if you live out of state, you got airfare and hotel costs as well. If you're a fan going to the the good news is they're so ubiquitous now. There's probably one within driving distance at least once a year for everybody. Well, Karen says, honestly, I would be more interested in meeting you guys and the people from the podcast. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah,
$50.
Over $50.
$50. John will sign anything.